Welcome to your most authoritative show. It's The Pulse. It's coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air on the STV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. This afternoon, the Electricity Company of Ghana admits it bought faulty and not fit for purpose prepaid meters and conductor valued at almost 60 million cedis. And Auditor General demands the officer responsible for the procurement is held liable for it. We have details of the Auditor General's 2020 report on the Pulse for you. Also this afternoon, students at the University of Ghana continue to feel the effects of the strike action by their lecturers as UTAG members continue to press home their demand for government to restore the conditions of service agreed upon in 2012. We have the latest on this unfolding matter for you on the Pulse this afternoon, plus issues of improved road network, water supply and support to access finance top the chart for tomato farmers as President Akufo-Addo commissions a $16 million tomato processing factory at Burekum in the Bono region. We are in the region live this afternoon as the President wraps up his tour in that region and also have a bigger conversation on the tomato business and its sustainability. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. The Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities, Dignilu, Affordable Safe Sanitation. Remember, we're also streaming live on YouTube and all our social media handles. Tweet at us at The Pulse. My personal handle at Danana Aisha. Always a pleasure to host you. Many thanks for choosing us. The Electricity Company of Ghana has admitted it bought faulty and not fit for purpose meters and conductor valued at almost 60 million cedis. The Auditor General in the 2020 report of public boards, corporations and other statutory institutions is demanding the officer responsible for the procurement is held liable and made to pay the amount if the meters purchased 5 years ago are not deployed. My colleague Elton Brobe has been studying the report and has more.
Section 7 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016 requires that a principal spending officer of a covered entity shall ensure the regularity and proper use of money appropriated in that covered entity. But according to the Auditor General, this provision was violated in the Electricity Company of Ghana decision to procure prepayment meters and hard-drawn aluminium bar-stranded conductors amounting to 59.1 million Ghana cedis between 2014 and 2016. However, these items were either partially issued or have not been issued at all, but are kept in the stores till date at the time of the audit. The lapse, according to the Auditor General, was as a result of the management failure to issue the old stock before purchasing new meters. It says huge capital investment had been locked up, which could have been used for other pressing needs of the company. The report recommends to management to ensure that the prepayment meters and conductors are issued out to the users, failing which the amount involved should be covered from the officer who engaged in the procurement. The Electricity Company of Ghana, in a response, admitted some technical challenges were identified during the initial stage of installation and as a result could not be used for the intended purpose. Management, according to the report, had before the audit visit constituted a committee to engage the suppliers on the identified technical challenges, and the report is with the board for the next line of action.
And as you heard there in that report, the Auditor General is unhappy with the ECG for allowing to go waste prepaid meters valued at almost 60 million cedis procured 5 years ago. The Energy Minister is also unhappy and describes the development as a clear case of irresponsibility. Now, the Auditor General's report also says ECG lost 24.30% of power purchased from power producing companies despite the creation of revenue protection divisions and installation of automatic meter reading, and in effect lost 24.3% of its revenue for the year, and this could affect the profitability and viability of the company. Let's get on to Zoom and speak with the energy expert Kojo Poku. I'm grateful for your time. Give me your initial reactions to this report.
Hi, Aisha. How are you? Good afternoon.
Doing very well, sir.
Aisha, we're on the phone. I couldn't join you by Zoom. Hi. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Mr. Kojo-Poku.
Okay. Now, this report is something that some of us have been saying for a very long time. You remember when the senior staff of ECG tried to go on strike and trying to blame the ills and then the problems at ECG on the current MD? Some of us said that the problems at ECG date back 10 to 5 years ago. They have been procuring things that are not necessary. They just give out contracts without proper processes. And this is what we have been talking about, and the Auditor General has come to now make some of us more like prophets or angels when we say that the ills at ECG take longer than when they try to blame some of these things on the current MD. It's very unfortunate that we can let individuals get away with such bad planning. And I think that we should stop the normal ways where anything happens in Ghana, you say, oh, enyeshi. We should have prosecution. The procurement officers, the people who were responsible, should be held accountable and liable. Because 60 million cities is a lot of money to just say that we have meters that is not fit for purpose. It's very, very unfortunate, my sister.
To cure these inefficiencies in our systems, you and I know that we've had challenges with power supply, and some of these are, account for the problems we're facing in that sector.
Well, proper planning is what some of us have been calling for. Problems in the power supply have to do with planning. In the ECG problem, people talk about commercial and technical losses. Now, if you look at technical losses, that one, we need investment to be able to do that. But what is commercial losses? Commercial losses is when people who are paid every month refuse to do the work they've been asked to do, which is to collect revenue due ECG, to monitor to make sure that illegal connection people are either arrested or stopped. Those things are not forgivable. So for me, it's time that people who are in senior positions within the company stop blaming the MD or politicians all the time. When ECG became PDS, within a short possible time, the attitude changed. People were doing what they were supposed to do. When they came back to ECG, the attitude went back to the Abayejuma attitude. So for me, yes, we've had power problems and power challenges, but those things need money to be resolved. And when we have as much as 16% commercial losses within ECG's operations, it's worrying, because the technical challenges can only be solved when you have money to invest in new machinery. Now there is smart meters. Now that there is smart meters, how do we now reconcile the fact that we have about 60 million meters that have to now be thrown away or can't even be used?
Now, for those officers who did the procurement, the Auditor General wants them to be held liable for this. But of course, is it only prosecution you're looking at, or you want them also out of their positions?
Well, you can only prosecute somebody if that person proceeds on suspension. Somebody cannot be in the employ of the company and be prosecuted. So the first step is to identify, set up a committee to investigate those who are liable for those procurement. If they are still within the company, they should be suspended pending prosecution. So you cannot be working for a company and be prosecuted. So they have to be suspended and prosecuted.
I'm grateful for your time. Mr. Kojo-Poku is an energy expert. He's been speaking about some deficiencies at ECG, and ECG itself admits that some 60 prepaid meters, 60 million, is going waste over there. Now, students at the University of Ghana continue to feel the effect of the strike action by their lecturers. UTAG members have been on strike since the beginning of August because they want the government to restore the conditions of service agreed upon in 2012, which they said was far better than the current situation. The strike by UTAG has severely affected academic and some non-academic work at the various tertiary campuses. The Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, University of Ghana, and other tertiary institutions have already announced a suspension of examinations due to the situation, with no end in sight for the strike. JoyNews' Christian Yale has been interacting with some students of the University of Ghana and has come through with this report.
That structure, and what is quite worrying is that for some of us who have to submit our project works for some of us who have to do our project defense and all those things that will enable us to graduate peacefully, we would have headache, because now with the strike, you don't know when the lecturers are coming back, and there hasn't been any communication from lecturers to students. The university management has also gone blank on us, and so we are just left in the gap. We are just left to wander in the wilderness.
I'm also doing the project work, which of course I should have a supervisor who is a lecturer to help me with the work. But yeah, is the case when you try reaching out to them, they tell you we are on strike. So it's becoming more frustrating and more disturbing at this point in time. So I have a similar story, or I share in his experience.
It has kept us confused, and also I'm not happy because it was supposed to be a 13-week course, but we did it within 6 weeks. So we the ones who have sat down tirelessly to study, we really want to write the exams and get it off our shoulders. It's like we are in school. It's like we've just rented an apartment and we are just relaxing in it.
It's been very, very frustrating. And I mean, again, we keep going back to the indefiniteness of the whole thing. The university's response so far has been, exams has been called off indefinitely, and reopening of the next batch is also uncertain. That has added to how, uncertain things have become for us.
Basically, they're all calling on the University Teachers Association of Ghana and the government to, sit together and bring enhanced solutions on the table. The strike has led to the postponement of examinations, the end of semester examinations in the University of Ghana, together with the University of Science and Technology, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
Pressure continues to pile on President Akufo-Addo to sack his health minister, JoyNews, who has come under intense criticism for breaching procurement processes while trying to secure Sputnik V vaccines for Ghana. Private legal practitioner Martin Kwebu, the minority, and many others have asked the ministers to step aside. Only yesterday, the Ghana Integrity Initiative called on the president to take up the responsibility of terminating the appointment of the health minister. Well, the president has been responding to criticisms of the health minister. Listen to him when he spoke yesterday at a deba of chiefs in the Bono region.
The former Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, and the establishment of India. Minister of Health, and Minister of Health,
So that's President Akufo-Addo there, and what he says is that there are a lot of people from the Bono region in my government, including the Minister of Health, who is currently receiving slaps from Ghanaians. He is an indigene from Doma. He has really suffered in that health ministry and is on it. Anti-corruption campaigner Vitus Azim has been reacting to the president's recent comments, although a parliamentary probe was set up to look into the matter. Mr. Azim also wants investigative bodies, including IOCO and Chiraj, to conduct further investigations. All right, so Mr. Vitus Azim joins me via phone for more on this one. Mr. Azim, I'm grateful for your time. Now, you're asking for IOCO and other investigative bodies to step into this. Exactly what do you want?
Well, the parliamentarians are saying that what they did, they cannot go beyond even making recommendations of sanctions against the minister, not to talk of prosecution. But you see, what they did, it was just they and the minister.
we don't know who else was involved in this whole transaction, because the whole process couldn't have been taken by just one person. Somebody authorized or requested for the payment to be made. Somebody took delivery of the vaccine and all that. And we don't know what roles they each played in it. So from the corruption aspect, some people might have benefited personally from it. And that's why I necessary to do the investigation.
Well, go ahead, Mr. Azim.
So that anybody that is found culpable, even beyond the Minister of Health, would also be made to face the full rigors of the law.
Well, the businessman, Sheikh Al Maktoum, has indicated he's willing to pay. Even though the Supreme Court says he must pay all the money, we are not sure if he's able to pay all the money, but he's shown good faith that he'll be paying the money. Does this not settle the matter?
No, because he's not even saying he'll pay all the money that he got. He's saying that he'll subtract the cost of the 20,000 vaccines that they brought, which the Minister of Health initially said he saw that as a sample. So either he pays all the money, or the Minister of Health and any other person that was involved in the transaction takes the cost of the 20,000 vaccines. We don't even know whether they were used or not, and all that. And if they were not used, what has happened to them? And that's why there's a need for the investigation, so that we can be sure that everything is clean. Besides, we're not just looking for the money back. You want to punish the people that misuse their power. So the investigations will show, in addition to paying the money, what else was done that was not proper. And that's the issue.
Well, one of the things that you are seeking the president to do is to actually make a comment on this one and also relieve the minister of his post. Well, he's been responding and talking about how Ghanaians are bashing the health minister. It doesn't look like he's going to relieve him of his post. What would you do as anti-corruption campaigner?
He was just making a joke of the whole matter, trivializing it. Why do you do that? You are the president of the country. And why do you do this? The impression you are giving to Ghanaians is that it's nothing to you. What can we do about it? And that's very unfortunate. But if we continue to put pressure on the president, if the media especially and the civil society organizations continue to put pressure on the president, at least to advise the guys to die. So it's not a common thing in the country, especially under this president. But the more pressure we can put on, I think we should do that as Ghanaians who are not spectators, but citizens.
So what for you will be a closure to this matter as an anti-corruption campaigner?
I think we've talked about that already. Two things. He either resigns or gets fired. But two, the investigation to bring on board other people that were involved in the whole transaction. It's not just the Minister of Health alone. I believe that other people were involved. And so the investigation will show who else was culpable in this whole transaction. So it's those two things that will bring about the closure to this whole issue.
How do you intend to sustain the pressure for the president to do the needful?
Well, not me. I am an individual citizen. I no longer work in an institution. But some of the things that we're saying today, you will help us to carry out, to sing the song that this is what we require the president to do. Those are the things that we can continue to do. But if civil society can even organize some demonstrations in Accra and in the cities, and I believe this time the Fix the Country demonstration in other regions will include that on their placards. All those things will help to sustain the pressure on the president to act on the issue.
I'm grateful for your time. Vice Chancellor Azim, he is an anti-corruption campaigner. Of course, we've been following this for you, and in the last few hours, we're hearing something that we have not confirmed yet, but we'll try and confirm and see if Sheikh Al Maktoum has made payments to the Ministry of Health. We have our eyes on this. We'll get you all the updates. We'll take a break on the polls. We'll bring you more shortly. Let's go back to our earlier story of the UTAG strike, which is having a toll on students at the various universities. On Zoom for that conversation is Ofosu Asamoah, is Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission. I'm grateful for your time, Mr. Asamoah. The last time we spoke was the fact that you had gotten an injunction to stop UTAG from going on a strike. Indeed, the Deputy Labour Relations Minister assured that he was going to intervene between you and UTAG to pull out that case from court and resolve it amicably. Where are we now?
Yes, like I said, we went to court and to apply for an injunction to restrain them from, continuing the strike. And the court directed that they should refrain from continuing the strike. Unfortunately, they did not respect the court. So that is where we are. They are still on strike. Rather, they have filed an application to set aside the order of the court, which was granted on the 6th, and is scheduled for the 16th for the court to be heard. And we were also given 10 days after we to come on notice to the court. So on the 16th, I think we will meet in court.
Did that meeting between you and the Labour Relations Minister plus UTAG happen at all?
You see, yes, there hasn't been any meeting, but what the minister has sought to do, the intervention, is to have a stop. But we don't have a case pending. We made an application to the court, and it was granted. So we don't have any case pending before the court in respect of an injunction. If there is any case pending before the court, it is what UTAG has filed. They have filed an application to set aside the order given us, which is coming on the 16th. Our case was dealt with. Our application was simple. Restrain them from going on the strike. And the court granted the order to restrain them. You see? So that is done with. It is they now have gone to court to set that order aside. So if there's anything pending in court, it is what they have filed, which is scheduled for the 16th.
All right. So as it stands now, what will be the next action for NLC?
The next action is to appear in court to defend what they sought to set aside.
So as it stands now, they're going to be on strike until that court case has ended.
It is for them to decide. The court has ordered that do not continue with the strike. And you have said you will not respect the court order. You are ready to go to prison. I'm sure you have heard everything. And the same court which gave the order, you have applied to the court, which you disrespected, that you want to set the order aside. Which order are you setting aside? Is it the one you disrespected or respected? After all, you say you not respect the order is bogus. So why are you going to court to set it aside? So it is for the court to determine on the 16th when we reach.
Mr. Asamoah, are there other mechanisms to deal with this matter aside going to court?
The best mechanism is for them to appear before the commission, is for them to engage with government to have the matter settled. That is the best. What do you want? You want your conditions of service. Who has the power to improve the conditions of service or maintain it? It is the government. Who has the power to mediate in case there is an impasse between the two of you? It is the National Labour Commission. And you will not engage government, and you will not allow Labour Commission to mediate, and you will not respect the court. So what would they want us to do?
But there has been engagement over this matter for quite some time now. Why haven't we had a resolution?
Between them and government, so that if there is a disagreement or they are unable to reach a settlement, the only body with the mandate to come in is the National Labour Commission. And this is the case where National Labour Commission is coming in, and we have faced all sorts of accusations, doing government business, being put there. In some cases, I'm alleged to be on Article 71 because I'm enjoying my salaries have been increased. I don't care about, and so on. So if the man who has the power to mediate, right, or help you solve your problem, you are trying to, I don't know how to put it, degrading, criminalizing, or, giving a bad picture in the eyes of the public, how would we go on? That is the unfortunate aspect of this whole issue. So UTAG must come to terms with reality that the NLC is not a negotiating party. They are not dealing with it. They are dealing with the government. And NLC is only an intermediary to facilitate the settlement of the issue. And when it comes to the West, the court comes in. Let's have this respect for these institutions we have established for ourselves for good governance. That is it. And everything will be solved in less than 1 day. Government is very committed. A minister calls, the minister appears before the commission, the Council for Tertiary Education, the Director General for Salifu, Dr. Kwapon of Fair Wages. All of them are committed. So I don't see why UTAG will not come and sit at the table, but rather will sit back and try to chastise everybody. It's unfortunate.
I'm grateful for your time. Ofosu Asamoah is Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission. Now, officials of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly today invaded the makeshift homes of squatters under the bridges of the three-tier Kwame Nkrumah interchange. The raid, which is part of the Joy Clean Ghana campaign, is aimed at clearing all squatters who are illegally occupying the space under the €74 million interchange and generating waste. Manuel Granting was with the team and now reports.
Today we're going to tackle all junkies that anybody we find him under the bridge without any reason for you to find yourself there. The bridge, under the bridge, is not a place of abode for anybody. So we get you, we put you onto the ground, you will sweep, and today we're going to make...
Head of Environmental Health Unit at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Joseph Asitanga, explaining the focus of the day's exercise. But even before the main target of the outing, the underbridge of the three-tier Kwame Nkrumah interchange could be reached, there was already so much to do.
They were urinating outside, anywhere at all. They were dumping the thing. Whom were they expecting to come and collect? They should collect their own filth.
They were immediately given brooms to get to work.
All shops, all restaurant frontages, they are responsible for cleaning their frontages, as well as bus stops. They are also responsible. Now, we got here this morning. The strategy we adopted is we came to stay around to observe, to see those who are littering. So when we stayed, we realized that even the drivers themselves, when they come, they sweep and collect their refuse and keep it tightly before they dispose it off. But the people around, they cause the mess. They drink the sachet, they throw it anywhere. They stand any place, they pee. And that is why we are taking those people to be responsible for what they are doing.
Soon, the work was done and it was time to hit the underbridge.
You see our presence here in the morning. You can testify how the place was. Yes, this is because it contains moisture. That's why you can still see this thing here. But we'll make sure that we'll follow it up with the taxi drivers to ensure that this thing, they clear it out. They have a refuse bin here. And we'll make sure that the refuse bin will translate in collecting this one. Rest everybody around there. You see from this stretch. Yes. We're going to put them to work. So I'm deploying my people around. Anybody like these items here, they are all junkies and they are the people littering the place. All of them, we're going to pick them and bring them back to clean here. So we are arresting them. When we get a good number of them, we'll put them here.
Not even the rocks planted as spikes could stop the squatters from occupying the pavements of the €74 million interchange. Some slept on cardboard in the plain space and will only be awoken by the noise from AMA officials. There were piles of clothes in jute bags hidden under the metallic beams of the overhead. But they were ordered to pack out and leave.
Now boss, what's your name? Kwesi Dati. Yeah. Why you sleep here?
Oh, we be here where they sleep.
Here where you sleep every day?
Yeah.
Oh, we here in the bed. Why in the bed here?
Everybody they feel the can bed. We do some to the bed there.
Talk to me, you don't get house.
Oh, you know, we say I don't get house, but the hustle where we did our.
Oh. Did you hustle for here? Yeah. Where you from?
Me are from Adan. We sweep the wide and that way they live.
This work, I'll let you go.
We sweep the way they live.
What did they do for here? What did they do for here?
I carry Kayayu.
They carry Kayayu. Where you from?
I'm from Volta.
From Volta. When you come Accra?
2016.
2016. So since 2016, you did a rooftop.
Yeah.
Where you sleep?
I sleep the cemetery side.
You sleep for the cemetery side? You don't fear ghosts?
No.
Why you not fear ghosts?
I didn't do any bad against nobody, so I didn't do anything.
I don't get father and my mother in this age. That one I live my life for the estate, and I work the estate. I see this place, if I sleep here. Today's work alone is a wake-up call to people living within the enclave of Circle. Today is not the only day. We're going to continue to pursue this exercise. No matter your structure, when we get you under the overpass, you are loitering around, walking around, we don't know what you're doing, we get you, we'll put you to work.
Stark contrast between the reality and what we see on the wall here. Trash goes here under the auspices of the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. A 500-meter walk from this particular point reveals no available trash bin for use. So motorists, pedestrians, and even the squatters have resorted to littering the entire area. This is what has necessitated a visit by officials of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. For now, though, they insist they will regularize this particular exercise to get people to clean the area. How sustainable is that? It waits to be seen. Reporting for JoyNews, my name is Manuel Kranting.
Now, tomato traders in Agbegbloshe are calling on the government to intervene in the importation of tomatoes from Morocco. The traders lament this is affecting their business. Take a listen to what some of the traders had to say.
2 years ago, we complained about tomatoes coming into our market from Morocco, and it ceased. Today, they have started coming in, and we are appealing to the government to block them from coming. We don't want to see them again. The tomatoes we bring in are tested at Paga before they are allowed into the market. We are calling on buyers of these Moroccan tomatoes to desist because it is not good and injurious to their health.
My biggest challenge is that the country has tomatoes in abundance. We go far inland to bring these tomatoes to the market, only to have ours rejected for the Moroccan tomatoes. And we are incurring losses.
My daughter went out to buy some of the Moroccan tomatoes. Upon bringing them and rubbing it with a white cloth, the tomato turned yellow. So I told her to get rid of it and stop buying.
This has led to a meeting between the traders and a team from the Ministry of Agriculture with the intention to resolve the issues of these tomato traders. Now, joining me for the conversation is Prudence Attipu, is head of plant quarantine at the Ministry of Agriculture. I'm grateful for your time, sir. What progress have you made on the issues raised by the traders?
Thank you, and good evening to your listeners. The outcome of the meeting was fruitful, and we decided to look at the issues that they have raised. And looking at the issues, we realized that the import of the fresh tomatoes from Morocco was without a permit. Apparently, they brought the items in, and we unfortunately did not know anything about it. Normally, if you are importing plant and plant products, that includes agro and agro-produce and other related items, you are bound by law to apply for a permit. Within the permit, we do a pest risk analysis to ascertain as to whether the items coming into the country will be okay for it to be brought, because we have pests and diseases in this country. So it is, we have pests and diseases in other countries. And other countries' pests and diseases may not be in Ghana. And therefore, it's possible that through the pathway, they could enter into Ghana and affect our agriculture in terms of any crop, as in this case, the tomato. So we've told them that what they did was wrong. And the way forward is that should, in case they want to import tomato again, they need to do the right thing, apply for a permit. And should, in case we do our PRA and it's okay, fine, we'll allow them in. If not, we will not allow any tomato into Ghana. We realized that there is a virus called the tomato tornado virus in Morocco. And apparently this virus is quite devastating. And due to that, we are going to stop the importation of tomato from Morocco for now. And we are going to look into it and see whether the ones that they have brought into the country will be tested at our labs to see whether they have the virus, and then we'll see what we can do later on. So that is the way forward.
Now, the traders have raised issues about quality of these tomatoes on our market. How much premium are you putting on that?
Yes, concerning the quality, unless we do our lab analysis before we will determine as to what is causing the rot of the tomatoes. And normally, rots are caused by bacteria and fungal infections, but we may not know the particular particular bacteria or fungi that may be causing it. So our lab analysis will determine that, then we can further take action on that.
Now that you are cancelling the importation of tomatoes from Morocco so that you can investigate what is causing this problem, what will be the action to fill in the gap in the interim?
In the interim, farmers are producing tomato in the country. We are getting tomato from Guinea. We'll be getting tomato again from the Volta region, Ada, and also from Angloga. So farmers are producing tomato. The market queens are buying them from the farmers. Therefore, we have tomato in the system where you can get to the market and buy.
I'm grateful for your time. Prudence Attipu, he's head of plant quarantine with the Ministry of Agric. We're all concerned about tomatoes, and it's something that we'll be looking at and bring you updates on how this issue has been resolved. But some tomato farmers and traders are calling for improved road networks, water supply, and support to access finance as President Akufo-Addo commissions a $16 million tomato processing factory at Burikum in the Bono region.
A company operating under the One District, One Factory initiative at Domfeta in the Burikum West district of the region is considered by many as a key intervention to cut down on tomato wastage, which is a usual occurrence, create jobs, and to explore exports of Ghanaian-made tomato paste to the regional and international markets. Some of the farmers and traders took turns to list what they believe will make the factory's operations successful. Stephen Odro is one of them. He says he is leader of the Burikum tomato farmers.
The farmers are the main reason the factory was brought here. Therefore, we plead with government to provide us with potable water and fix our roads, as well as provide financial assistance. If that is done, Bono and other neighboring communities will be able to provide the factory with all the tomatoes for production.
For Nana Masewa, who is tomato market queen for the Bono region, says tomato traders like her may need some more help from government to support the factory to succeed. She is, however, happy that tomatoes they produce in the region will no longer go waste.
Here in Bono, after we harvest the tomatoes, we are not able to preserve them. As a result, they all go bad. So if the president has brought a factory here, we will have a place to bring our tomatoes after harvest. This will also serve as a source of employment for the youth in the district because we grow a lot of tomatoes here. Here in Bono, after we harvest the tomatoes, we are not able to preserve them. As a result, they all go bad. So if the president has brought a factory here, we will have a place to bring our tomatoes after harvest. This will also serve as a source of employment for the youth in the district because we grow a lot of tomatoes here.
Eric Osei-Tufo is chairman of the Ghana National Tomato Traders and Transporters Association. He says they came to negotiate how they can supply tomatoes for the company's survival.
The factory needs tomatoes, and as such, they may need us. So the factory authority called us to be part of this commissioning so that we sit down and then negotiate how best we can supply them tomato for the survival of the factory. It will benefit a lot because we can create an employment, we can get money for our sustainability, we can look after our children, schools and others.
The ceremony, which was brief in accordance to COVID protocols, saw President Akufo-Addo interact with all stakeholders who have supported the company, including the Ghana Exim Bank and representatives from the German Embassy and the German Development Agency, which supported the project as part of its implementation of the Invest for Jobs initiative funded by the German Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development.
Let's have a conversation on this new factory intended to address post-harvest losses. Nana Kwame Fosu-Boateng, he's a consultant for the Wedi Africa Tomato Processing Factory. He joins me for more. Now, the capacity of the factory is something that is of utmost importance to us. Tell us about the capacity.
Thank you very much, Matilda. So Wedi Africa Tomato Processing Factory has an installed capacity of 5 tons per hour. And because we designed the business model to be able to solve the perennial challenges that comes with tomato glut, leading to post-harvest losses, embedded in our plant is also a 500-ton cold room. So when the farmers have abundance, or how we say glut of tomatoes, we're able to take a hold of it and keep it in our cold room. And from there, we start the processing. Our first processing line is able to run independently for 24 hours. And so it is in our strategy that during the bumper harvest, we would be able to run, especially our first line of production, 24/7 until the glut is mopped up from the system.
So how many jobs are we expecting that this processing factory will create, and what are the timelines?
Thank you very much. Currently, we have 158 employees already on our payroll. This is at a capacity of about 38% capacity. We also have what we call the Youth in Agriculture program under our in-grower farmer system, which is designed to allocate our own lands to the youth in the area and its environs who are interested in farming. They would be provided with sources of water, will be provided with agric inputs and our seed varieties, and be given support by the Ministry of Food and Agric under their crop extension services department. We have already done a couple of trials already since 2019 at what we call a micro level, during which we're able to support close to 150 in-grower farmers. So under our in-grower program, we are hoping to provide direct employment for close to 1,200 in-grower farmers who will be cultivating an average of 1 acre each on our farmlands. Again, our factory has been able to pull together over 2,000 outgrower farmers with support again from the Ghana Exim Bank. I must be quick to say that for the in-grower system and the outgrower system or program, we have also been privileged to get additional support from GIZ under their Invest for Jobs program, which is funded by BMZ, which is in the very first phase to, as it were, build the capacity of various actors within our supply chain. So currently we are looking at a three-pronged approach to sourcing for raw materials, which consists of, first and foremost, the in-grower system that is designed to target the youth that are interested in farming. And the second one is our outgrower system that is designed to target tomato farmers that are already or that have always been cultivating tomatoes. We've been able to put them into two FBOs of farmer-based organizations. One is the Brekum West Tomato Farmers Association and the Tano North Tomato Farmers Association. And then we have our own nucleus farm that we are also cultivating. So yes, if you pull all these things together, we are looking at currently providing 158 jobs presently, but at the point where we reach a capacity of 100%, we should have a minimum of 350 permanent workers at the factory site, 1,200 in-grower farmers, and then a market provided for 2,000 outgrower farmers.
So we just had a conversation with a representative of the Ministry of Agric, and we are learning about a virus that is affecting tomatoes. And for that reason, importation of tomatoes from Morocco has been halted. What is the plan to ensure availability of enough tomatoes to feed the factory, given the bad example we have had from the Commander Sugar Factory, for instance?
Thank you very much. One of the critical findings that was revealed in our R&D process prior to establishing this factory, and I must commend my group chairman in the person of Nana Yao, was that the critical issue of concern regarding motivation for our farmers to produce more was not only a function of just water and the like, but more importantly, issue of good variety that produces the highest yield. So we set out in search of such good tomato varieties that are designed for industrial purpose. We've done a couple of seed trials, over 16 in all, since we started our pilot in 2019. And thankfully, we have been able to get some seed varieties from the University of Ghana's West African Center for Crop Improvement, spearheaded by Professor E.Y. Dankwa and his team. And we really appreciate his team's efforts at developing new tomato hybrids that is able to yield about 4 to 5 times what the farmers are able to produce now. So I am informed that the Ministry of Agric is at their last stage of the seed varietal committee's assessment of these varieties so that they can release it onto the market. So I thought that once these seeds are released onto the market by the West African Center for Crop Improvement in Legon, together with their partners, we're already partnering them anyway. Our farmers will now have access to these hybrids that will give them 4 to 5 times the yield of what they are currently getting now. That will mean that we are inching closer and closer to being self-sufficient in terms of our need for tomatoes. So not only in terms of its yield, but it means that we have control over the seeds, because prior to this great innovation from WACI, as we say, West African Center for Crop Improvement, we were importing some of the good hybrids from abroad, which I remember last year, as a result of travel restrictions, thanks to the COVID, we struggled a lot at getting some of these seed varieties. So yes, a good chunk of the headache associated with sustainability is being addressed by the West African Center for Crop Improvement. But I must be quick to say that even when we have these access to these tomato hybrids and distributed to our farmers, there's yet another critical factor of monitoring, because these tomato hybrids have planting protocols that have to be strictly abided by if you want to have such yield. And that is where the Extension Service Department comes in. You and I will agree that players within certain public service agencies, of course, need some support to, as it were, function adequately when it comes to monitoring, because in our system, every farmer's farm is supposed to be visited once a week. Every farmer's farm is supposed to be visited once a week by an extension officer, supported by in-house agronomy directorate. And to be able to do that, they have to at least get a little bit incentive, because thankfully the government has procured motor bicycles for them. But on our part as a factory, we are also supposed to provide some form of fuel to, as it were, quicken the pace at which they're able to provide monitoring. And thankfully, through the Invest for Job initiative by the funded by the DMZ, implemented by GIZ from the German people, we are able to get funding to push this monitoring. I must be quick again to commend GESAL and also commend ADB for the additional support being given. But like Olubatwe says, we would want more, because there's a lot more room for improvement.
But apart from availability of the tomatoes, what's also the plan to ensure the company's survival?
Thank you very much. So that is where we are convinced that given the way we have designed and structured our plant, so we have two separate plants. The first line processes fresh tomatoes into what we call tomato concentrates. That line runs independently. So during the tomato glut, for the fresh tomatoes, they have shelf lives less than a week or sometimes 1.5 weeks. But once we pass the fresh tomatoes through our first line, we're able to end up having tomato concentrates, and that is what our competitors import from abroad. Now, these tomato concentrates have an average shelf life of 24 months. So we're able to take the fresh tomatoes, turn it into concentrate, and store it for up to 2 years. Now, our second processing line now takes the tomato concentrates and now turns it into what we call a tomato mix, or in our local parlance, we say tin tomatoes, right? So we are able to also run the second line independently. So the second line is almost same as to just like what our leading competitors have. So at any point in time, the company is in business. During the tomato glut, we are positioned to be able to take or mop up from the market or from our farmers and store so much concentrates that are needed for the rest of the year until the next glut. So we are confident that we are very sustainable.
I'm happy that you are confident you can sustain this one, but the farmers are also raising issues about transport, access to loans, and even water. I mean, what plans do you have to support these farmers?
Thank you very much. The name of our company is Wedi Africa. That is the name of the group. And one of our strategic business units is into borehole drilling. So through a couple of our discussions with our farmers, we saw the need to be doing that, providing water for them, especially during the lean season. So when you look at how we have designed our outgrower system, we have been able to pull them into clusters. So even when we come to the Jenny area, we have a couple of clusters based on their proximity community-wise. So for every cluster, per our plan, we haven't implemented it yet. Per our plan, we are supposed to drill a borehole for them and help them to have access to water. Also, there are some other clusters that have low-lying areas that with a little bit of support from our earth moving machines, from our other SBU, we are able to dig some wells and some pockets of dams for them so that they can also crop during the lean season. However, when it comes to our in-grower system, once the implementation starts, and again, I say thank you to GESAL and thank you to ADB, and again, thank you to Ghana Exim Bank. They have pushed us this far. We need more from them and other players that are interested, other banks that are interested. Once we start the implementation of this in-grower system, that is drip irrigated. So we are looking at a land mass of about 1,000 acres out of our 2,400 acre land that will be given to the youth that are interested to go into agric. And we would have a couple of boreholes drilled. We've already done the assessment, the estimation, and everything. We're just waiting for the commissioning so that we kick that portion into operation. Once that portion gets set in, those who will be farming on our in-grower, under our in-grower farmer system should be sorted when it comes to access to all year-round water, same as our nucleus farm. So we are confident that that is provided for. However, again, the funding requirement is huge, I must say. When it comes to mechanized farming in the country, is huge. And I say thank you again to Exim Bank. However, given our interaction with the Ghana Exim Bank and the ADB, which have pushed us this far, they know that we've just been pushed up to about 30%, 35% of what we can really do. And at this moment, let me be quick to extend a hand of welcome to any other financial institution that want to maybe form a syndicate or they come on board to hold our hand so that we can grow with them together.
And of course, this is something that we all wish and hope that it will work. And that's how we have expressed so much interest in this one. Nana Kwame Fosu-Boateng, it's been great having you. He's a consultant for the Wedi Africa Tomato Processing Factory. The consumption of spoiled tomatoes, which is on the increase with more patronage by some commercial food operators in Ghana. Spoiled tomatoes have been found to have higher nutritional and healthful plant-based chemicals than fresh tomatoes, but highly contaminated with harmful microbes that's not safe for consumption. That is the conclusion of a study by the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. My colleague, Kwesi Deborah of Love FM, has more.
It's coming now. We are 5.5. I can't damage so I'm sorry. I need to create a year. I mean, I'm more be 20 city cross one 20 cities cross one top. When it was nothing, Papa ne boating, when soon for. But in a just a union by me, Tony Bisa, and I'm the coffee.
Consumption of tomatoes provides health benefits. However, they are highly perishable due to their nature, post-harvest handling, and germ infestation. The study was undertaken to determine the nutritional and chemical compositions of tomatoes. The researchers also sought to determine the levels of germs in these tomatoes. Professor Faustina Dufie-Rekumenu.
When you go to our market, we have a lot of tomato spoilage, unwholesome tomato that are being sold, and especially when you go to where they mill vegetables like ginger, like the tomatoes and the spices, you see a lot of unwholesome tomato being milled especially for commercial food preparation. So we thought it wise to look into what is inside there. Is it safe for us in the first place? And as I said, there have been reports that a lot of people are consuming this, especially in the lean season, and even in the bumper season because it is very cheap. So the commercial people go in for it. It's not every commercial, most of the street foods.
For the study, fresh tomatoes were obtained from Bola Market in Kumasi in the Ashanti region of Ghana. 6 spoiled tomatoes were randomly purchased and analyzed. The researchers found all the spoiled tomatoes had considerably high level of crude fiber, high potassium, and high folic acid as compared to the fresh tomatoes, except for moisture and vitamin C. The researchers attribute the situation to ripening, chlorophyll breakdown, and increased carotenoid synthesis during spoilage.
The high nutrient, it is because, as you know, tomato is categorized as a climacteric fruit. It keeps on ripening after plugging it from its source. So, and these phytochemicals and bioactive compounds are usually synthesized as a result of ripening. As ripening goes on, they are synthesized. And you know, spoiled tomatoes usually stays on the shelf for a longer period. So it's being attributed to the advanced ripening in the tomatoes that is causing the increase in.
The researchers, however, warn spoiled tomatoes are highly contaminated with microbes.
But then, as I said, it is not safe because of the microbial load. So what we recommend for consumers is that you shouldn't eat spoiled tomatoes, irrespective of how cheap it is. You know, we should not consume them. We should go in for fresh tomatoes. And then if anything at all, because tomato, as I said, is very perishable. Right from the receiving of tomatoes, we should just sort out. And then the broken, the bruised, the mechanically injured ones should be sorted out, and quickly maybe we apply heat. Either we convert them to tomato paste or tomato paste. Very easy to do.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
Police in Asokwa have arrested two relatives of a 10-year-old boy alleged to have committed suicide at Atunsu S-Line in Kumasi. The body of Paul Boateng, a Class 3 pupil of Dompoase MA School, was discovered Tuesday afternoon hanging on a nylon net tied to a ceiling fan in one of the bedrooms at the family's house. Ohimeng Teria of our security desk joins me via Zoom with more. Ohimeng, how did this happen?
Hello,
Ohimeng Teria. I need you to bring us up to speed as to how this whole incident happened. All right, it appears Ohimeng is not ready for us. When he's settled, we'll bring you that conversation of a Class 3 pupil who has allegedly committed suicide. Ohimeng Teria, if you're ready for me, how did this whole thing happen?
The report and information that I received indicates that yesterday at about 3 p.m., a relative of the deceased, a Class 3 pupil, this relative identified as Yao Akpokosapon, lodged a complaint with the Asokwa police indicating that the Class 3 pupil has committed suicide in one of the bedrooms of the family's apartment at Atunsu S-Line. So police officers were detailed, and when they got to the scene, they found the body of the 10-year-old boy hanging on a nylon net connected to a ceiling fan in the house. And they also realized his feet was touching the mattress in that particular room with a kitchen stool and a ladder beside the body. So police took photographs and then conveyed the body to the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital for preservation and then for autopsy. So they invited some of the relatives to the police station, and two of them, one being the complainant, Yao Akpokosapon Sapon, and Eric Ijima, we are told, have been giving police conflicting reports about their presence and how the whole incident unraveled. So the Asokwa District Commander, Chief Superintendent Christopher Mpianin, says they've detained these two people to assist police in their investigations. And they also believe that they will be able to unravel the circumstances surrounding the death of the 10-year-old boy through autopsy. And then with autopsy, they will be able to establish the cause of death. But for now, they are keeping the two people in police custody to assist with police investigations, Aisha.
So how is the family taking the issue?
It's been a bit difficult getting information from the family. For instance, we are told the three the class 3 people live with a 70-year-old woman. Apparently, she is not a real grandmother, but the parents lives in a draft. So for over 3 years now, the 70-year-old woman has been living with the class 3 people. And so they've invited the parents to Kumasi. And out of the people who live in the house, we are told we are left with only the 70-year-old woman and one other gentleman. 2 of them are already in custody. One, I visited the family house at Atonsu S-Line. What I realized was that the gate to the main house was locked with a padlock placed outside, indicating that there was nobody in that particular house. So I must say that getting information from the family has not been all that forthcoming. And residents who live nearby are also tight-lipped. They wouldn't want to comment on the issue because they believe that these are criminal investigations, and whatever that information that they give out could also come back to haunt them. So they want to allow police to unravel the circumstances surrounding the death of this poor boy. But I must say, even the district police commander says, as of now, they didn't find any mark on the body of the deceased. So though they are not ruling out, suicide, even if it is suicide, he wondered why a 10-year-old boy will want to venture into such an adventure, something that he believes, beats his imagination, because he's been trying to understand what will force the 10-year-old boy to commit suicide. Somebody who lives in the house and everything, his needs are being provided for by the grandmother. But he says because it's a criminal issue, they want to pursue all angles to ensure that they are able to unravel the cause of death. And we are told the postmortem is likely to happen today or tomorrow. Just a few minutes ago, I had information that the crime scene team, management team, want to visit the scene again to do some further investigations, for instance, to establish who might have touched the ceiling fan with some, thumbprint information that will also help in their investigations.
So who are these family members who have been arrested, and what role did they play in this whole incident?
Like I said earlier, the 2 gentlemen are Jima and Yao Sapon. The Yao Sapon is a complainant turned accused in this particular matter. And then the Jima, we are told by the police, and when police, try to inquire from the relatives who live in this particular house of what they know about the death of this boy, the information he gave to police was that he was outside, not around when the incident happened. But later, police picked information that this Jima gentleman was probably around. He was in the house when the young man committed a suicide. So police believe that probably there is some vital information that he's trying to hide from them. So they want to keep him, and with the other gentleman, Sapon, who also reported the incident to police. According to him, he returned from work only to find the disease hanging on that ceiling fan. So that is what has prompted police, to keep and detain these 2 gentlemen to assist with their investigation. But for now, police are yet to establish any link or their connection to the death of the 10-year-old boy.
Ohementeria is with our security desk. I'm grateful that you brought us that update. Residents of Kenya Saint-Germain in the Kwabri East District of Ashanti region have blocked the main Kenya Saint-Germain road in protest of deplorable roads. The protest disrupted traffic on the stretch, and they bent ties, leaving commuters stranded. Attempts by police to control the protest were fiercely resisted.
There was heated argument between the police and the protesting residents. The police tried to disperse the demonstrators and remove the barricade, but the angry protesters resisted the move. It took the intervention of the police reinforcement to calm the situation. Some angry protesters spoke to Untitled News.
I was born in 1954. I have never seen our road tarred. They always deceive us to vote for them. I am an MPP chairperson. I am an asthmatic patient. I always buy medicine. And I expected the president to fix my road.
My sister, yes.
I have stayed here for 60 years, but I have never seen any tarred road in this community. They always start and never finish.
This roadblock is not intentional. We just want our road fixed.
Stone chips meant for the construction are left on the road. The residents want the road fixed as promised by the government prior to the 2020 election. According to the unit committee chairman Yawinsia, the contractor left the site after the election.
The drivers complain about the stones on this road. They can easily cause an accident. The contractor says he's not been paid, and that is why he has left the site.
Reporting for Joy News, Nana Awuku Denchambo.
There is more when we return from this break. Time for sports. Lionel Messi has been confirmed as a new Paris Saint-Germain player and gave press conference today in Paris. Messi's 2-year contract with an option for a third was signed yesterday after a medical in Paris, and he has been handed the number 30 shirt. Lionel Messi is impatient to start work on the task of winning trophies with Paris Saint-Germain, as after his shock departure from Barcelona, the 34-year-old has signed a 2-year deal with the option of a third at the League One club after his 21-year stay at the Catalan outfit came to an end. He's been speaking at his unveiling today. So what's the future like for him? I'm joined in the studio by Hans Mensah. He's been coaching me how to say Paris Saint-Germain, and he says it's Ligue 1. Pardon me, I'm not a sports presenter. But of course, what are the implications of all of this for La Liga?
It's a downer really for the Spanish La Liga. You know, for a long time, Messi has been the star attraction for the La Liga. And already you are hearing people talk about the need for broadcasters to gravitate more towards the French Liga because Messi has moved in there. Lionel Messi is an entire institution. He's a whole institution, really. And so it's not surprising that when he moves, the La Liga is going to feel the full force of it. And we are going to be seeing already, if you monitor the social media space here in Ghana, people are beginning to ask which broadcasters are going to be showing the French Liga. People want to see the action. People want to see Lionel Messi in action. We also understand that, you know, even for Barcelona as a club, it's going to be very difficult for them to sell their tickets because of Messi's departure. So, as a league, the Spanish La Liga is going to take a massive hit. There were speculations when news broke that Messi was departing that it was probably a ploy, you know, just to get La Liga to reconsider their financial fair play rules and have a special sort of regime for Lionel Messi to enable him to stay. But of course, that hasn't happened. It just tells you the magnitude of his impact, what he represented for the Spanish La Liga. If you also look at when Ronaldo was in the La Liga was sold as a rivalry between Messi and Ronaldo. and then Ronaldo left. So it was just Messi running the show for the La Liga. Now there is no Lionel Messi. What becomes a selling point for the Spanish La Liga? And that really is a question for them.
It is indeed a question for them, but of course this should be a plus for the PSG.
Absolutely, absolutely, and not just the PSG.
But of course, given the fact that he spends most of his time with Barcelona, do you think he will fit into the PSG setting?
The thing about Messi is that he doesn't need other players to play for him. By himself, he can make things happen. The quality is there and has been there for a long time for all to see. And so we are not looking at a player who is heavily dependent on other players. He can take on quite a number of players, take out a number of players and set up teammates to score. It's actually the other way around, where other players are going to be benefiting from his presence on the field of play. And I'm talking both teammates and opponents alike, because for opponents, you are going to have to up your game. You're going to see a lot of defensive improvements on the part of opponent. His teammates are also going to have to improve significantly to be on the same level to be able to play, with him. So it's not just for Messi himself, for opponents and for the French Liga itself. It's a massive gain for them. We are going to see a lot of broadcasters, trying to get it right for the French Liga, something that hasn't happened, in the last few years.
Definitely, Messi's move has been the talk of town. Absolutely. Everybody has been talking about what that will mean. But let's look at the bigger picture of world football. What does this mean?
Again, it's a move that has shaken the four corners of world football. Look, he's moved from Spain to France, but there are implications for all the major leagues. And herein I'm talking about the UEFA Champions League. We're looking at the Barca team that was struggling to match the quality that he had in the last 8-10 years. At PSG, he's surrounded by quality. He's got Neymar, he's got Mbappe, he's got Marco Verratti, Sergio Ramos has transferred there. And so for the UEFA Champions League itself, the teams in England, the teams in Germany, the teams in Italy, the teams in Holland, in Portugal are all going to struggle really against PSG. We are looking at a French team that can realistically win the UEFA Champions League, go on to win the Club World Cup and the UEFA Super Cup and all. And so globally, the dynamics also changes somewhat. It's just a case of a powerhouse which has sneezed. The rest of world football is catching a cold.
The rest of world football is catching a cold, definitely. But so let's look at the look at the picture on your screen. What's the story behind that picture?
Rivals who have become teammates. Sergio Ramos of Real Madrid and Lionel Messi of Barcelona. Now it's Lionel Messi of PSG and Sergio Ramos of PSG. The two players absolutely hated each other on the field of play. Goodness. Ramos was probably one of the defenders who would go in really hard on Lionel Messi. Look, some of the tackles were dirty. Some of the plays were very, very dirty, very physical. There is a video in a game where Ramos actually stepped on the hand of Lionel Messi. He's kicked him in the knees, kicked him everywhere. Today they find themselves to be team. And I think that these two players are professionals and will find a way to work together. You're looking at a top defender and the best of the best, in terms of attacking football in the world.
So Barca 10, PSG 30. What's the connection?
So Neymar already has the number 10 jersey for PSG, and so Messi is not going to get that. The number 30 jersey is what Messi started with at Barcelona. And so if there was any other jersey number that he was going to be picking, it was going to be the number 30 jersey. So that is not too surprising for me in that sense. But in the coming years, players have that understanding where they look. The jersey numbers represent just more than the shirts. Sometimes also a brand as well. You have Cristiano Ronaldo customizing his name, CR7. The jersey number 7 is part of his brand. CR7 has become a global brand. LM10, Lionel Messi 10, is also somewhat a brand. I don't know what sort of consultations will go on from this moment on between Neymar and PSG and then Messi as well. But at some point, you do expect that Messi is going to be wearing the number 10 jersey at Paris Saint-Germain.
Oh, wow. So, but the man of the moment, Lionel Messi, has been going for some medicals at the PSG headquarters. Watch this. That was Lionel Messi there. Hans, my producer says I should ask you if Kotoko has this facility.
I'm sure they will probably have to go to Amin Scientific Airport. to be able to carry out such a medical. That's on the
But interestingly, PSG has spent millions of cedis to be on the UEFA Champions League. But of course, Lionel Messi, is he the final, piece
in that jigsaw?
Yes.
It's difficult to say he's not. When you sign Lionel Messi, everything suddenly becomes possible. And what lays credence to that fact is in the number of trophies that, and I'm talking, team trophies and individual trophies that he's won. Wherever he's gone, well, he's only been at Barcelona, but during his time there, it's rained trophies.
Okay.
So it's difficult really to sit here and say that, well, PSG are not favourites for this season's UEFA Champions League. They are certainly going in there as favourites. Of course, we know that the Champions League is not really about which players you do have. Sometimes it's more about the commitment of the players and which manager is also in charge. But this signing, Messi to PSG, put PSG in that top position in terms of the favourites for the UEFA Champions League.
Let's talk about the fans of Lionel Messi. Is it automatic transfer from Barca to PSG?
There are two types of football fans. There are those who follow players and there are those who are fans of the club.
Okay.
A lot of people, supported Barca because of Lionel Messi. Quite a number of people.
Okay.
You'd expect that those supporters are going to gravitate towards PSG now that he's moved. There are also those who are loyal simply to the club, but they will still be watching what Messi will be doing. Look, it's difficult to separate Messi from Barcelona. He's their most successful player. He's been part of the most successful era of FC Barcelona. And so really difficult to separate the two entities. You are going to get a lot of Barca fans supporting PSG. Of course, they will be supporting their Barcelona, but when Messi is in action, they will still be supporting Lionel Messi. But what happens when PSG comes up against Barcelona?
That will be something that we'll be looking forward to. I'll say all the best to Lionel Messi. That'll be it for sports, and that'll be it for the polls. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Enjoy the rest of our programs.